So your sweatshirt, what's the story?
1619, this is our ancestors.
Hmm.
I bought this off Spike Lee,
Like the actual Spike Lee.
the actual Spike
You
Lee.
saw Spike Lee and said, "Can I buy your shirt?"
Yeah, this is on his, I bought it off his Instagram.
Oh.
Yeah, the People's Republic of Brooklyn.
Hmm.
It's our ancestors.
Hmm.
So that'd be a good one for generations.
For today.
Yeah, you know, I like to plant the seed in the subconscious.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And
So what was your day like today? You were with mom most of the day?
yes,
All day?
yeah, taking some time off work to stay at home with mom, help her recover. Yeah, it's a new adventure,
Mm-hmm.
a new adventure that I know nothing about.
Mm-hmm.
Now I had to learn real quick.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, you know, when you start a new job
Yeah.
and you don't know what you're doing, but you got to jump in both feet.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like how Ruben is with sound and
Sound and lighting.
and computers.
That's how I
It's
feel.
kind of exactly like that.
Kind of just like that.
Yeah, but more pain.
But
More pain.
Exactly.
From Ruben, that is.
Yeah.
You know, table thumps, cell phones ringing.
It's true. But we
Kind of
are
like that.
But we are thankful for him. We're still thankful for him.
Yes, we are. Because it makes it too easy.
Makes it
Too easy
big target.
to love them. Love.
Yeah. Well,
Love.
speaking of love, maybe we should begin.
All right.
If you're joining us live, or maybe you're watching this at a later date, I'm Luke.
I'm Luke.
It's two Lukes. Two Lukes and a Reuben.
You know what? You want to hear good teaching?
Yeah.
Two negatives do not make a positive.
Hmm.
That's just common math knowledge.
Right.
Two negatives do not, so it's like two Lukes.
Yeah.
It's great stuff.
Okay, we don't make a positive.
No, two negatives don't make a positive.
Okay. Oh, there you go. Okay, fair enough.
So that's what I tell kids when I'm in the
Right.
classroom when they're doing their math.
Yeah.
It's important to know that two negatives do not make a positive in math, and it's important to remember that.
Remember that, exactly.
Isn't that deep?
It's very deep.
Thank you.
Even though I was awful at math, I still feel like I got
so am I.
I still feel like
That's why I only stick with culture.
exactly. And that's what we're here to talk about tonight, culture.
Yes.
So I'm Luke. This is Luke. And if you're new to our Grow sessions, Grow is something that we do here on YouTube Live for our church and our broader community in the area, where we talk about, this fall, we're talking about health is a big theme. But we're also tonight starting a journey with our friend Luke, where we learn about culture. And the culture that we're learning about is Kwantlen culture. So some of you know Luke. You've met him in and around the area, or maybe even at church back when we used to be able to physically come together. But Luke is part of the Kwantlen First Nation, and he's agreed to join us for the next number of months, years, as we unpack some Kwantlen culture and learn together. And so if you're joining us to learn, I think we want to say, great, we're glad that you're here. And what we're going to do over the next number of months is we're going to talk about and learn about the Kwantlen 7 traditional laws, which is really central in Kwantlen culture and society. And Luke's going to walk us through those, and we're going to take our time. So we're not going to try and cover 7 laws in 10 minutes. We're going to take them one law at a time. And tonight we are going to talk about the Kwantlen traditional law of generations. And so welcome as we talk about generations tonight, and we learn about generations and how that fleshes itself out kind of in Kwantlen culture, but also how that fleshes out in all of our lives, really. And so if you're joining us and you have questions, I just have my computer here, and you are more than welcome to type in a question. And every now and then I will be slightly distracted from listening to Luke, and I'll check in to see if we have any questions, and I'll kind of throw them at him if he's willing to answer them. And you know what? If he gets rolling on a great story, if he gets rolling on a great teaching, not going to interrupt him, and I'll try and answer. We'll kind of maybe create some like question time maybe towards the end a little bit if we need to do that. So we don't want to disrupt any flow.
Sounds good.
Flow is good. So welcome. Thanks to Ruben, who's with us tonight, even though we like to give him a hard time.
Hello, Ruben.
We're thankful that he runs the tech for us. Right?
Yes.
We do love Ruben.
Of course we do.
Yeah.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
It's true.
So
it's
Luke,
true.
Thanks for joining us. And let's talk about generations. I don't know where to begin. I'm a learner. So let's talk about this.
No, thank you for the great intro.
Yeah.
And everything you see is true. And it's when we're dealing with culture, it's like you said, it's something that can't be rushed. And especially with indigenous culture, is you can't rush it. And I've been working in the school district for it's going to be 13 years now.
Is it really?
I'm going into my 13th year.
Wow.
So yeah, it was like, literally, I think today was my 12-year anniversary.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So it's it's been great working with organizations and communities and students and families and politicians, whatever it may be, universities. Mom would speak a lot too about sharing her story about her experience at Indian residential school. So when you share your story, that's like part of your healing process too. Knowing your story is part of the healing process. Having the courage to say it is part of the healing process. Knowing where you're from is the healing process. Knowing your name is part of the healing process. Being by the water, living water is healing. So that's, that just being at that point is a lot of work. A lot of people don't have that luxury.
Yeah.
That's what we call that being on the secret path. Like, where are you from and what's your name? I don't know. Right? Names can make you sick too, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes people have to change their names.
Yeah.
A lot. Sometimes 3-4 times. Because that name makes them sick. Or maybe they're not in the right place. They have to go somewhere else to continue their healing journey or deal with that pain or trauma. So it's not something you can rush. You can't rush that.
Yeah.
And working in the school district, and dealing with universities or other organizations who may be interested in a checklist,
right,
or a little, scope and sequence, or they have to do this for this type of funding, meet a deadline. We don't really care about people's deadlines,
right,
or timelines, or that's just gonna trigger stuff, right? Because it's just hard enough just to survive.
Yeah.
Look at today. Look at before and look at after. Just surviving is a tough one. That's where we'll look into health later. About just being here is a big deal.
Yeah.
Just to breathe is a big deal.
Yeah.
And then once we can get just to being here and just breathing, we can do that work together as long as it will take. So it's that's why I agreed to do this, because people don't normally ask me to speak for such a long time about teachings that I do not want to rush, because I always have my family in the back of my head, my ancestors in the back of my head, and the ones who come after in the back of my head. And just thinking about those you love, that just creates enough confusion and anger and sadness and pain. So when it's culture, it's difficult work, but it's also very simple. And the 7 laws are very simple. The teachings are simple. The language is very simple. And when it's simple, it includes everyone.
Mm.
And inclusion is important.
Mhm.
The most important thing to make sure everyone feels included and welcome and comfortable. But how could I feel comfortable if I feel rushed,
Right.
right?
Mhm.
So that's what I work on with staff
Mm.
and families, right? I don't care about your timeline.
Mhm.
If people want, yeah, a lot of people come up to me and a lot of university students come up to me too and say, oh yeah, can you, I have this timeline. Well, I don't care about your timeline. Make sure you write that in your little book too.
Right.
Make sure you write that so they can read that.
Yeah.
And I said, what can you tell me about your culture in 3 minutes? And I was like, well, first of all, you're asking me on Friday,
Right.
3 o'clock when I'm leaving. You have the audacity to ask me that. It's kind of like, the air stops.
Yeah.
And then all you hear is a squeak.
Yeah.
You can hear the teacher and they just come walk up,
Yeah.
right?
It's
So-
very controlling. It feels like very controlling with someone to do that.
Yes. And like I said, I have no interest in answering that question. Because, like I said, how is this going to be beneficial to my mom or to Ricky or to
Mhm.
Uncle Les or to
Mhm.
our elders or our ancestors? I want us to do work together that we're going to honor someone
Mhm.
and not yourself.
Mhm.
And when people can realize that, that's part of the generations teachings, right?
Mm.
So generations is Shwala now, Shwale, Eid, Sayak. So that breaks it down. Even though it's generations, you break it down to ancestors. You do this work to honor your ancestors.
Mm.
So they're here in this room right now. So I see empty chairs.
Mm.
I can tell they're here with us right now. They're here with me now.
Mm.
So you do that work to honor them and to know that you know your culture and your language and what your name is, and that you're on a healing process too.
Mm.
And then the next part is parents of parents.
Mm. And
when we speak about parents of parents, those are people who come from a very difficult frame of mind.
Mm.
And when I mean a difficult frame of mind, it means they're stuck in that frame of mind, that frame of thinking, where they can't change it. So it could be a stigma, it could be a stereotype, it could be misleading, miseducation, or just straight up ignorance, or they were misguided as a younger person, or maybe their family. And it's very hard for someone to change that frame of mind. And that's what you see a lot. And people get kind of a little bit too comfortable, too relaxed in their surroundings, right? With family, maybe school, maybe work, with your partner, right? And that's when you're comfortable enough to be very rude to them, even though you don't know you're doing that, but you are. So that's how do we get there to help change that frame of mind? That's the work that you need to do. You have to try to reach one heart, one mind, which is natsamat. See, a lot of this stuff I'm talking about, I'm not teaching. I'm just sharing stories, which is the truth. These are true stories. These are shared living experiences. I'm not here to tell you this is the way to do it. I'm just telling you this is what has happened and what will continue to happen. So when you have, that has to be your own one heart, one mind. I can't teach it to you. I'm going to tell you, you're going to know what it feels like when you reach it there. It's going to be you. You're going to do that work, not me. I'm just having a hard time just struggling to survive. And so that's when you see a lot of people will come up and say, what can I do as a privileged white person to come and help serve you? I don't know. Listen. Right? But if people really want to answer to that, they're not going to like it. They're not going to like what it feels like. Because if you're going to be a true person to take on that try to change that frame of mind, take on that community feel, you're going to have to embrace a lot of pain.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to embrace their sadness.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to take on that sadness and pain and trauma,
Mm-hmm.
and you're going to become them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how your mind is going to change into that. And it might make you very sick. You're going to become sick.
Mm.
I've seen it happen with friends.
Mm.
With friends and coworkers too, they took on that work.
Mm-hmm.
And they heard the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And the real pain and the sadness.
Mm.
Like anyone can relate to that. You don't have to be native to figure that out.
Yeah.
Right? But I think it's people come to our communities more because our story's out in the open. And people are finally starting to realize what the truth, even though they never believed us before.
Right.
They never believed. It took my mom 65 years for her story to be shared.
Mm.
It's a long time. That's a lot. That's what you call, that's a survivor.
Yeah.
That's a stem tamua. That's a warrior. That's just someone who knows how to survive. Right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what we do. That's what others do. We just survive. And a lot of people live trauma-informed lives and don't even know it, or are ashamed to admit it
Mm-hmm.
because of their surroundings or their backgrounds or their places of abundance.
Mm.
You know, it's in a way where they can't speak about it with pride, or they're ashamed. Just like how people could be ashamed to be a native, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or don't want to admit where they're from, or don't want to admit their name. So when you have to take on that pain, and it's rough. It's very rough. And you're not going to like it.
Mm.
And it's very sad. So that's what you have to do if you want to really support someone like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true listening, right? That's true listening to stories and feeling that pain and crying with them and singing with them and eating with them, crying with them, praying with them,
Mm-hmm.
being by their side during their most difficult, confusing moments, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to be done with your hashtags or your profile pics,
Mm-hmm.
right? It doesn't work that way.
Mm.
For those who are listening now and later, you got to think about your friend's story and the emotion in your childhood friends, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people will always go back to their childhood memories of being with a friend.
Yeah.
Right? Or being at a home.
Yeah.
So you will always remember those stories and the memories, the good ones and the bad ones.
Mm-hmm.
And that's authentic, right? People always ask about this authentic indigenous teachings.
Mm-hmm.
Oral traditions. What we're doing right now is oral traditions. This is what we do in the Longhouse. We don't rush it.
Mm.
Some of these events last like 7-8 hours.
Yeah.
And that's just maybe about 5 or 6 of it is just drumming and singing.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's our form of healing.
Mm.
Imagine if we did like a 5-6 hour church session here. Wouldn't that be fun? All right, I'm in for about 4 hours on that DJ set. Give me a 4 hour. Give me a 4 hour time slot. I want 2 to 4.
Yeah.
Or no, 2 to 6.
Yeah. I grew up in a church like that with
Yeah.
those long stretches, and there's healing and there's processing that happens in that, and there's all prayer. Like it's powerful.
And you probably have elders come up and say, "Well, we're not doing it long enough.
Yeah.
Let's keep going."
Yeah, exactly.
That's what my Uncle Natch would say. We're not drumming and singing enough, and this makes me very angry.
Needs to go longer.
Let's go longer.
Mm.
We know this. We know better.
Mm.
So it's and that's why we don't clap at Native events.
Hmm.
because it just adds on an extra hour. So you just read, yeah, there you go.
I thought you were going to say because it tells people to stop, and you're like,
No. It's just because we, well, we want to eat. Gotta do the prayer song, gotta do the dance song. So that's what we do. And we do that work to honor our ancestors because they're there with us. Right. The fact that we know it is mind-blowing. It's teachings that are like 20,000 years old, and we're still doing them. And we have Mom there, we have Ricky there, Uncle Natch, everyone, Auntie Helen. They're all there, and it's just for our family. That's our form of healing, right? So it's very private, very personal.
Yeah.
And everyone, but the importance is that every story contains value. Yeah. Of equal value. It took me a long time to figure that out too, right? Because I would always just focus on myself and my indigenous teachings. Right. And, poor me, poor Mom. But it's not, it's more about resiliency and strength and survival. And being a warrior of the land. That's, and I think once people realize and understand that and really listen, instead listen to reply. A lot of people listen to reply. A lot of people love to be in stories. Was I in a story, Ruben? Did you put me in a story? I like how he doesn't reply. It's great. But he's like, this is humor. Humor is one of them.
He's listening to listen. He's not listening to reply.
Not a boy. It's like you guys know me or something.
I don't know if there's a rule against replying for the answer.
Oh, I'm just waiting to see if you do or not, because it's part of, this is humor too. We're going to get into that. That's another one.
Yeah.
Native people are hilarious people. That's how if you're in a room and you get to hear Ricky laugh, it's the best. That's some medicine right there. You wish you in the room there. And he's like, please don't stop. Please don't stop. So that's the best medicine right there. And been doing this for so long, and I can tell that's a North Vancouver laugh. Yeah, that's Tsleil-Waututh. That's Capilano laugh. Oh, that's a Capilano. Yeah, there's my auntie.
Wow.
So, yeah, that's another one of our laws right there is humor, and you can see that recently online. It's so funny. It's just so much fun. That's what if we're gonna argue with people online, let's argue with people online laughing.
Right.
So a lot of Native people use that humor to, that's ES is happiness. We'll get onto that one later in the year too. And we go to our elders for that. So if people really want to embrace that, if people really want to embrace Black Lives Matter, I want to hear the story about your friend and how he doesn't know where he's from and when he doesn't know his name. Does he still have a slave name? Which part of Africa are they from? Or maybe they're from the island. Tell me about that. Tell me about their music. I want to hear about their music. I love music. And you should be very easily to do it without even thinking. Not just saying they're your friend. Anyone can do that. But that's where the next part of generations is the ones who come after. That's the children. That's you guys. Maybe there's people in this community who can change their frame of mind too. I changed my frame of mind. My mother changed her frame of mind. Wasn't easy. That was one of the hardest things too. That's a nutsummut moment, one heart, one mind. When I reached it, I realized it. That's a part of healing, right? And it's something you don't force on. Something you can't reach that with a guideline or a checklist, right? You don't go there and you don't create that way, doing that checklist for teachings. It doesn't work that way. So generations is a great one to deal with. And it's definitely a healing process of working together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you still knowing that there's people in your community you can rely on to help you with. That's what I'm realizing with my mother's health,
Mm-hmm.
because she broke her hip a month ago,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, that was scary. But yeah, she's only like 70 pounds, maybe 5'3",
Yeah.
very petite, but also doesn't complain about pain or our brains are so traumatized from living the way we live our lives, of being indigenous or people who are black, right? That we can do this work without crying, because our brain works in a way where I'm accessing a part of my brain right now where I can do these teachings with great strength.
Mm.
But there's going to be like triggers that I don't even know what they are that will set it off. Usually, yeah, like timelines it's one of those.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it could be food.
Yeah.
It could be smell.
Yeah.
Maybe it could be being in a place
Mm-hmm.
without even knowing it.
Mm-hmm.
Like just being in like a coffee shop
Yeah.
in a different city, and then you're just get very emotional.
Yeah.
Or music's always a big one.
Mm-hmm.
Music's always a big one, but yeah, that's usually something that people plan out, right? Just the other one, but just learning how to live with that trauma and trying to understand what your triggers are. But definitely knowing where you're from and what your name is one of the easiest things to help give you that strength. Because I know when my brother is like 14 years older than me, so I never grew up with him. And there was a time when you're a native in like the 70s and the 80s, where at school all you do is just fight, fist fight every single day. And yeah, that's what happened here in Fort Langley, Kwantlen. That's what all we did was fist fight too, just because you're Indian. And they would fight you because you're Indian. And it was rough. And that was like your mode of survival, right? And we never wanted to fight. We never wanted to go to war. We're wearing poppies. We were actually treated a lot better in the military than we were at residential school, because we were just used to that form of structure. And you were kind of brought up that way, that this is how you think you're living, and this is how I live my life.
Right.
To be abused, to be mistreated, to know that no one will listen. People continue not to listen today, right? Just a little bit more accessible, very accessible. And you just think that you're treated that way, or you learn to deal with that incredible, debilitating pain, physical and mental, right? I know there's a lot of Native friends that, would deal with that too. Just incredible, debilitating pain. That's how they would live. So when my brother would fight, he would come home crying. This is like grade 3. Ma, I don't want to be an Indian. Why is that? And he was like, because they keep fighting me every single day for being an Indian, and I fist fight them, and I have to beat them down. And they beat me down. And he says, well, Tony, do they know where they're from? No. Do they know their culture? No. He said, well, you do. You're a native, and we should be very proud and happy of that. And we know where we're from, and we know our name. And that was our form of healing, during very traumatic events.
Mm.
That's why it's a very simple question. What's your name and where are you from?
Mm.
And when you're with elders or with Native people, they want to know your family name,
Mm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Because that name will bring incredible power.
Mm.
That's what I want Kwantlen to bring, right?
Mm.
We got our name back in '94.
Mm.
Because before we were Langley Indian Band, number 6.
Mm-hmm.
And the Kwantlen University got our name before we got ours,
Mm.
1991.
I didn't know that.
So they bought. We shouldn't have sold our name to them. That was we were very sick. We were very ill.
Mm.
Our community was very sad. Residential schools were still in place. There was no elders at the table.
Mm.
We were hurting big time, and it was out in the open for the entire public to see and scrutinize,
Mm.
and not listen and be as empathetic or supportive. So when Chief Marilyn became chief, because we're still hereditary chieftainship,
Mm-hmm.
so she was born into after her father passed.
Mm-hmm.
He was very ill. She looked after him too, to the day he passed.
Mm.
And it was hard work, very tough. And when she became that, and when I mean hereditary, there's still no democracy.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no elected chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
We're still fighting it off.
Mm.
So she's been chief since 1994.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of funny how other elections change and you lose trust in leadership every time.
Mm.
A democracy is here to divide you.
Mm.
It's just common practice.
Mm.
It's exactly what they want.
Mm.
To divide you.
Mm.
Make you think that your leader is the one that's going to solve all your problems.
Mm.
Well, that's a tough one too, especially with Native people, is trust in leadership.
Mm-hmm.
Trust in leadership with people across the bridge.
Mm-hmm.
Like trust in leadership with a church,
Mm-hmm.
a university, hospitals,
Mm-hmm.
our disbelief in Western medicine,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's a lot of hard work to change that frame of mind.
Mm-hmm.
That's generations and generations.
Mm-hmm.
And like a school, right? Whatever it may be, politicians or people thinking they're helping us out, but they're just really kind of making it worse,
Mm.
right? Maybe money might help. Doesn't. We've done all this work by ourselves, right? By getting ourselves educated with university degrees, becoming doctors, lawyers,
Mm-hmm.
support workers, creating our own business enterprises instead of relying on someone else
Mm.
who wants to set up something here in Fort Langley. When it doesn't feel right, you don't stick with it. You want to stick with the family you love
Mm-hmm.
and the ones you want to honor. The first thing the Chief Marilyn would say is how is this going to benefit my elders?
Mm-hmm.
Or how is this going to benefit my ancestors?
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's true community. And trying to get there is I don't know how it happens, but it's a different story for everyone else. Like for people listening now, they're thinking about a moment with their family or a friend and how it can be real, sincere, and authentic, right? And that's something you can't rush. And that's part of the teaching. So you don't rush it. You just want to take that time to share the stories as long as it takes. And to further understand it and remember it. And that's the ones who come after, right? I've seen that here. I've seen that at TWU. I've seen that at the schools I work at.
Mhm.
It's working together. Yaistel is working together. You know, with my mom, the community working together. This is all new, right? This is new to us.
Mhm.
It's new to mom. It's new to me. You know, I don't know anything about being a healthcare worker.
Mhm.
I'm sure people at the beginning of quarantine didn't know they want to be a hero.
Mhm.
It was just tough enough for them to be there.
Mhm.
They don't want to be characterized as they're really sad, really hurt. Just being there is tough. Just being at a school is tough,
Mhm.
right? Not a, yeah. So it's the ones who come after that are going to help us out.
Mhm.
And that's why you got to keep those teachings there so that people can understand that and bring those teachings there. Share those teachings with others. It takes a lot of pride and strength and community work to get to that point of sharing those stories, to honor your friends, your families, your ancestors in an authentic way. That's what generations is.
Mm.
Each generation is going to be different, but it's really much it's the same every single year. So that's why my trust and faith is within the matriarch, matrilineal teachings, right?
Mhm.
Nations run by women,
Mhm.
not by a patriarch, not by a democracy, not by, because democracies are set up in a way that they exclude, they do not include.
Mm.
That's why there's targeted communities that are not available, that aren't included in the conversation.
Mm.
They're not included at the table. And why? Because they were brought there from somewhere else. They were displaced. They don't know anything about these teachings. They don't believe in it. They never grew up with it.
Mm.
They were never included. They were just excluded and put into an areas where they were taught just how to survive. That's why that's all we know how to do is survive. We can't really flourish. It takes a little bit longer. But when it does happen, that's, one heart, one mind. Being with your friends and family. Or just, that's, when you're with the matriarch, our main goal is to make sure you feel welcomed and comfortable and included. And using a different language, but a simple language, but the same teaching, right?
Mhm.
But it's the same teachings, it's just used in the same way, where that we believe in, like Kwantlen 7 laws, or for you it might be scriptures from a Bible. That's there to give your guidance and balance and focus.
Mhm.
For you it might be very easy to refer to, right?
Mhm.
But for me, like our 7 laws, it's teachings that have always been here, because they came off the back of the animals who were living here before. They were transformed. So these teachings have always been here for thousands and thousands of years, just like how those scriptures have been here for thousands and thousands of years.
Mhm.
Sometimes people just forget about it,
Mhm.
but it's always been here.
Mhm.
It's kind of like, discovering a color that's always been here,
Mhm.
but you just finally realize how beautiful it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's the most beautiful thing you've ever seen in your whole life, and you can't believe you just finally seen it right now.
Mm.
That's culture.
Mm-hmm.
That could be
Right.
religion,
Mm-hmm.
but it's always been there.
Mm-hmm.
You just were caught up with something else,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's the hard part. Generations. It goes very deep,
Yeah.
and it's trying to find that calmness,
Mm.
right? So when we're coming up on Remembrance Day, people,
Mm-hmm.
how do you say lest we forget and hunk of mean? Am I like, well, you don't.
Mm.
You don't, because we never want to fight.
Mm.
We never wanted to fight. We never wanted to go to war.
Yeah.
We went to war. It was very easy for us
Mm.
because we knew how to survive.
Yeah.
We knew how to take that incredible, debilitating pain,
Right.
right? And learning to live with it
Mm-hmm.
and not complaining.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want to find out the true teaching, cultural teaching of Remembrance Day is about sleequel, which means calm.
Mm.
So it's in your name, living waters, right?
Mm-hmm.
Water, calmness at the water is healing.
Mm-hmm.
That heals people. That's when you baptize people.
Mm-hmm.
That's a beautiful, incredible healing process.
Mm-hmm.
We live by the water. That's our main source. That was our main source of traveling and transportation.
Mm-hmm.
That was our way to heal, our way to bathe.
Mm-hmm.
Feeding, that would feed us. That's where our ancestors came from too.
Mm-hmm.
So it's about trying to find that, like I said, that Natsamat, one heart, one mind. And you can find it at the water.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I see people find with that moment at the bridge,
Mm-hmm.
running by the bridge, just hanging with their loved one with a nice little coffee, a mocha frappuccino.
From Lalem.
Yes, or Wendo's, or whatever. There's a lot of great coffee everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of great coffee. Maybe I mentioned Wendo's out loud. Maybe I'll get like a discount. Wendo's, hashtag Luke Native, hashtag free lunch.
Hashtag free lunch. Hashtag
Republica
reconcil-
coffee, Blacksmith. Let's throw it in there. I'm put that on a story. I want to be. What do you call that? What do you call those people?
Influencers?
Yes, I want to be an influencer. Make sure you get those Jordans in there too.
A free coffee reconciliation influencer.
That could be great. Let's work with it. I don't know what I'm reconciling, but it's good coffee.
We can do it over coffee.
Let's do coffee talk with Luke. That's why I would do coffee talk with Luke, with the kids. They would love it. I just wanted, that was, some people are stuck up in that frame of mind like paper.
Yeah.
This is a great, I'm loving, it's one of the, sometimes I gotta look at like a silver lining of a pandemic because there's all this negativity.
Yeah.
So well, I'm not gonna hand out any resources. I don't want to give you any resources.
Yeah.
I can't give you resources about my family. I can share stories and oral traditions, but do you have it on paper?
Right.
No, it's oral tradition. So can you get that to me on a photocopy? No.
No.
Like oral traditions is actual literacy.
Yeah.
We are doing literacy teachings right now.
Mm.
So you can put that in your little checklist.
Right.
Make sure you type that up on whatever you do on your laptop. So yeah, stuff like that is just understanding that every story contains value,
Mm-hmm.
right? And sharing that and not adapting to make someone else feel comfortable, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what we did for too long.
Mm.
Or that was forced upon us, changing our name,
Right.
taking our culture away, taking the children away,
Right.
taking the songs away. Yeah, it's tough to make your way back home.
Hmm.
That's why it's important to know who your ancestors are,
Hmm.
and to honor that, and to learn how to deal with those who come from a difficult frame of mind. Humor helps. Humor does help, and to know that the ones who come after are, it's going to be somewhat better.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess we could. What time is it? We got lots of time.
7:46.
Very good.
So
Well, I think that covers a lot of bases,
yeah.
and it's just sharing stories,
Mm-hmm.
and trying to honor that, and
Yeah.
knowing that people who listen, their story contains value.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Maybe they don't know it at the moment,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or what their name is,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe they're ashamed of that.
Mm-hmm.
How can we work to get them to be proud of that?
Mm-hmm.
Or if they know where they're from,
Hmm.
do they want to admit that?
Right.
Like some of that one might re-trigger a lot of old pain, a lot of old
Mm-hmm.
sadness.
Mm-hmm.
That could be incredibly, maybe not even good.
Yeah.
So that's, yeah, it's a lot of tough work.
Yeah. Hmm. Can I ask a question or two?
Of
If
course.
that's okay?
Yeah, this would be a good time for questions.
Okay. Question time. Because I heard us say every story matters. I heard you say that because we're talking about generations, implicit in that is a sense that we obviously can't rush,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that's not just connected to culture in general, but specifically to the traditional law of generations of like, well,
Mm-hmm.
if we're talking about way back here, and we're talking about the ones that are coming, the babies.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've heard you call people the young ones before,
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
That we can't rush. And I think it's always helpful to come back to, like you talked about, do you know your name and where you're from? And I wonder if it would be helpful maybe again to ask the question, what does the name Kwantlen mean? And
Mm-hmm.
can we talk a little bit about the name Kwantlen and unpack that a little bit?
Kwantlen means tireless runner, tireless hunter.
Yeah.
Um, that was our, like, just traveling up and down the river,
Yeah.
like the water.
Yeah.
That was our main mode of transportation, or running by the water
Mm-hmm.
was our main mode of being healthy, staying healthy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it was very common for Native people before the settlers came to, they would live, like, the average age of them was 133 years old.
Mm. Wow.
So it was very common for natives to, like I said, really good at surviving,
Mm.
really good at staying healthy. So running up and down there, and like we would have our runners. So like
Mm-hmm.
men would be the speakers.
Mm-hmm.
The aunties and the matriarch would stay home and run the nation,
Mm-hmm.
and take care of the family and provide food and all that stuff and get ready for winters. And we were the hunters. Men were the hunters.
Mm.
Or they would run all the way from Kwantlen tirelessly, and they would, let's say, let's go up to Vancouver, which is Musqueam.
Yeah.
So they would have to run all the way there and let everyone know in that community that there's going to be like a naming ceremony,
Right.
or that maybe someone had passed and there's going to be a funeral,
Mm-hmm.
and that we want the people of Musqueam to come to Kwantlen to celebrate this life.
Mm-hmm.
And then we would have a runner to Tsleil-Waututh in North Van, and then Squamish, and then Catesy,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe Chehalis. So they would be incredibly fit, incredibly healthy. And when you live off the land,
Yeah.
you're very healthy. It's all natural.
Mm-hmm.
So not in, we never knew how wealthy we were until we went to residential school,
Yeah.
because we were given all that terrible food,
Mm.
like terrible expired food.
Mm-hmm.
It was all rotten, sugar,
Mm-hmm.
right? All that stuff kind of cuts your health in half,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it's tough to get out that frame of mind, right? Especially
Mhm.
when you're hooked on it.
Yeah.
You can't get rid of it.
Yeah.
And I don't blame anyone for that,
Mm.
because it tastes good.
Yeah.
But when my mom when she left when she was 7, yeah, we didn't realize how good we had it, like all the salmon. There was a place of abundance.
Mm.
You know, our reserve, like our Kwantlen area, that was a place of abundance.
Mm-hmm.
But now as a reserve, it's kind of flipped.
Yeah.
Now on the other side of the bridge is a place of abundance.
Mm-hmm.
People spending millions and millions of dollars
Mm-hmm.
to live here.
Mm-hmm.
There was nothing ever here.
Yeah.
This was no one ever wanted to live here.
Mm.
And I told you before, the only person you would see is my Uncle Wes
Mm.
walking up and down the street. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
So there was nothing here. No one ever wanted to be here. There was nothing here. That's why my mom left when she survived 3 Indian residential schools. That's when she joined the military.
Mm.
And she met my father in the military at Saint Jean sur Richelieu, Quebec.
Mm-hmm.
And they started their family together. He was French Canadian.
Mm.
My father spent 27 years in the military.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how he helped us get out of our impoverishment.
Mm-hmm.
So when you retire from the military after that long, you can do whatever career you want. So he took a career with an airplane engine company as a technical writer.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what he did. We kind of just flourished from there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was just a lot of hard work, a lot of love.
Mm-hmm.
But Mom was away for 48 years.
Mm-hmm.
And to come back and to see how it is now,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's a lot of fun. I love it.
Mm.
It's also very busy.
Yeah.
It's very different. It's changed.
Mm-hmm.
But that's, you can't forget about that past, that part of that generations, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's why it's so nice to see my uncle still walk up and down here.
Yeah.
Even in the rain,
Yeah.
right? Same with Ricky.
Yeah.
Even with the walker.
We see him all the time.
Yeah.
Always say hi. Yeah.
Richard.
That's right.
It's Richard.
It's
How
Richard
can
to
it-
me.
Yeah.
Which was good. Which was
but Ricky
good.
has a big old smile.
He did.
Yeah.
He
So,
likes interacting with my daughter too.
aw,
He thinks he likes giving her faces. Yeah.
he loves that. So that was so when you're a tireless runner, a tireless hunter, that's what you call social media,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Look at us just earlier going on there. All right, let's see if anyone tunes in. Maybe the more the merrier.
Yeah.
We'll try it out,
Mm-hmm.
right? You find that more people, like more personal, in-face
Mm-hmm.
invitations worked out a lot better,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Compared to
Yeah.
using our phones right now.
Yeah.
So that's the result.
Mm-hmm.
Personal versus impersonal.
Mm-hmm.
That's the tough work.
Mm-hmm.
And I even tell kids this too with like indigenous games, right? From lacrosse. Well, lacrosse was, named by the settlers, but the real name is called pagata.
Mm.
It was a way to honor your ancestors.
Mm.
And these men were so incredibly fit. And there used to be like 300 people in the game.
Really?
So think of Yorkson Creek.
Yeah.
Think of that, where the parking lot is, so it'd be there. And then
Yeah.
the game would go from there all the way to Costco.
Wow.
That would be the field of people playing Bagataway.
Wow.
That's then some of those games will last 3 days.
Wow.
So imagine how fit you had to be,
Yeah.
and how incredibly, a lot of our fierce competition in Native community comes through sports.
Mm.
Doesn't come through fighting
Mm.
or wars. Like I said, we never wanted to fight. We just wanted to try to stay calm.
Mm.
That's a tough part, to stay calm, because that's what this is, trying to find calmness,
Mm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
We don't need to go to war, right? The tough part is just survival and calmness. That's what this represents to us,
Mm-hmm.
is calmness. Sleequel. Can we get there?
Mm.
I know sometimes when I get deliveries to Kwantlen, and people like come in the house and they're like, "Oh my God, what an amazing place is this? Can we live here?" I'm like, no, you can't. But it's so calm.
Mm-hmm.
I know that's what everyone's trying to attain,
Mm.
is to try to be calm.
Mm-hmm.
And there's they kind of get caught up in other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So Kwantlen, Kwantlen, I look at Kwantlen now as a place of trauma,
Mm.
but also a place of resiliency and strength.
Mm-hmm.
And warriors of the land,
Mm.
and knowing your songs that come from the river,
Mm-hmm.
from water. Knowing that you do this work to honor your ancestors and your family, those you love, and those you want to care for,
Mm-hmm.
who are struggling. They're struggling, but you still love them. That's what Kwantlen is today,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's what I want people to understand, is that, even though we still live with the trauma and it continues every day, we still use our resiliency and strength in working together,
Mm-hmm.
trying to work together.
Mm-hmm.
You don't rush it,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's what I found with truth and reconciliation. People
Yeah.
are trying to rush it.
Right. That's a checklist.
Yes. They thought, it was like a new thing.
Mm.
People are looking for answers,
Mm.
but there are none.
Mm.
It's just survival and sharing stories. Like I said, sharing stories of whatever it may be. Extreme trauma,
Mm.
right? There's families listening now or later that can relate.
Mm-hmm.
It's just people come to us now because our story is open from TRC, Truth and Reconciliation.
Mm-hmm.
It's recorded in Canadian history.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they're trying to do in America now,
Right.
right? They're trying, even if apology does happen, it won't go well.
Mm.
People still hate that 2008 apology.
Mm.
That was 12 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine that happening today.
Mm.
It would be, there'd be people rioting
Mm-hmm.
because it was, so disrespectful and so rude,
Mm.
and nothing but exclusion and lies
Mm.
and phoniness.
Mm.
That's what Kwantlen is.
Mm. Mm.
Pretty deep, eh?
Yeah, that's why we're here.
Indeed.
That's why we're here, to go deep. We're coming up at 8:00, and there's a bunch of us watching. So what I feel like I'm taking away from listening to you tonight is what I'm feeling in my spirit is something for me that's quite personal, in that it's so toxic in our society
Mm-hmm.
to hold on to this sense of rushing, right? We live in an immediate time,
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to use a slow cooker. I want to use a microwave, my internet's not working. Oh, I'll just tether my phone, right?
Mm-hmm.
We want the fast answer, we want the TED Talk. We don't want to listen to a longer teaching. And I think there's so much in the generations traditional law and in general First Nations culture, Kwantlen culture, that would call us back to something deeply human, which is growth, healing, wholeness cannot be rushed, cannot be rushed, generation to generation, person to person. And I think that in this time, as we're all experiencing even a pandemic, there's a lot
People
of that.
want this to be over right now.
Yeah,
They want to rush it out.
yeah,
But the pandemic is here to teach us.
yeah, that's where I was going.
It was the world needed to be put to a halt
Yeah,
because people didn't understand why they needed to come to a halt.
yeah,
You see, Mother Nature can be as beautiful and graceful,
mm,
but she can also be the most fierce person in the world.
yeah,
And she can put a halt and make you feel very humble, very humble, whatever it may be.
yeah,
You know, it could be in nature. You know, you could be one ankle twist away from being on a hike,
yeah,
from becoming very humble with Mother Nature.
yeah,
You'd be one spark plug away from
yeah,
up north
yeah,
from becoming very humble
yeah,
with Mother Nature.
yeah,
And she will take her course on you
mm-hmm,
to teach you a lesson.
mm,
That's what the march was all about. Because we needed to heal.
mm,
She needed to heal.
mm,
But we were already at that stage at Kwantlen
mm,
because we were able to experience what our area had to offer
yeah,
in our moments of calmness, of being with our family
mm,
and being with our teachings and our songs.
mm-hmm,
It was other people needed to see that,
yeah,
feel that, and try to understand that.
yeah,
But as you can see, it's very difficult for people to get out of that frame of mind and focus on something else other than whatever they need to do. Right? This is not a new teaching. This is all old stuff.
yeah,
I don't know why people get shocked when it happens.
yeah,
Because it's happened before.
yeah,
It's happening now, and it's going to happen again.
yeah,
So you need to take that time. You can't rush it.
yeah,
And it's like, that's why I said, this virus is like trauma. It's never going away. You just learn how to live with it.
right,
And deal with it. And what are these triggers that are going to make me sick? Do I have trust in leadership to say that if I do this, I will stay healthy? But if I do that, I will get sick. I will make others sick too. Right? It's a real double-edged sword.
yeah,
And I don't know if people are able to understand that. Like I said, I can't tell them to. If people want to argue online, let them argue online. I'm just going to post more funny memes. Yeah, it's because if we're going out laughing.
right,
It's the only way.
yeah,
So it's here for a reason.
yeah,
Because we screwed up.
mm,
And need to look to others of calmness. That's why Dr. Bonnie got that name, one who is calm, from an indigenous community. Even knowing that, people threaten her with violence, and her being a female leader, people don't believe in that. People don't believe in the matriarch or matrilineal ways, or they'll believe in her calmness.
yeah,
They love frantic people.
right,
Frantic. And millions and millions of people. So it's, yeah, you can't, it's learning how to live with it.
Yeah.
And our community is changing.
Mm.
Again,
Mm-hmm.
you just have to learn to adapt to it.
Yeah.
And once the quicker you embrace that and understand that and are comfortable with that, is the more you can just learn to live your life in a somewhat healthier way.
Mm-hmm. Mm. I think there's a connection there that you've made really clearly between calmness and going slow and
Mhm.
not rushing. And I think I would carry away from tonight, there's no, some of the things that I would carry away on the top of my mind for myself going into the next few weeks even would be that every story matters
Mhm.
and to resist the temptation to rush.
Mhm.
And they feel that's what I'm hearing in my spirit tonight. But I wonder, as you've shared and talked, what are you hearing tonight that would be fresh to you, or something that you've reminded yourself of as you've shared tonight? Is there anything that comes to the surface for you that feels kind of important to close with?
Yeah, it's community is weighing on my mind.
Community is weighing on your mind.
Yeah. So how communities will help out others during their most difficult moments,
Yeah.
and to know that there's help there.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm seeing with my mom's health,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And how people will step up to the plate with that.
Yeah.
Wasn't always the case. It was, like I said, something new to us.
Mm.
So it's new to me,
Mm.
like helping mom out at home, taking that time from work,
Mm.
not rushing back,
Mm.
just kind of trying to get a peace of mind
Mm.
of wanting to be with your loved ones,
Mm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And just sharing those memories. I'm always having memories of, my mom
Mm.
being younger,
Mm-hmm.
right? Living in Ottawa on the military bases,
Mm-hmm.
or being at sporting events.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's always, and how community is there to help.
Mm-hmm.
And how communities have learned to change
Mm.
for better.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen that in the hospital.
Mm.
My mother was at Abbotsford.
Mm.
Um, and I probably had my stigmas or my misconceptions about the area.
Mm.
But it's a beautiful, beautiful community.
Yeah.
Probably even a little bit better than Langley.
Yeah. We had our baby girl at Abbotsford
I
Hospital.
know, it's what a beautiful place that is.
Yeah.
And just all the communities coming together,
Mm.
like social workers, like
Mm.
making sure our cultural needs were met. I was like,
Mm.
man, this is amazing. Or
Mm.
that was one of my fears too, is, being in hospitals.
Mm.
I had to learn to deal with that very quickly
Yeah.
during a pandemic too.
Yeah.
And just being there with mom.
Mm.
And just seeing like how nurses are very empathetic and kind and caring and supportive
Mm.
and patient.
Mm.
I'm just seeing how brilliant surgeons can be,
Mm.
and how they're all business, but that's there, and how much they work,
Mm.
and probably how much time they spend away from their family
Mm.
to help our family.
Mm.
That's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And just those helping with mom at home now, or going to help with
Yeah.
mom at home now, so that we can get through this together.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I've been learning the last few days.
Yeah.
And how I don't, still trying to think about work too, right?
Yeah.
About wanting to go back and help others.
Mm-hmm.
Some other kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
They probably need to hear these stories too.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of these children I work with, it's just me sharing stories with them.
Yeah.
A lot of them don't even speak to me.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on. Not my job.
Mm.
to know that why they're so sad. I'm just there to share some strength and resiliency with them,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Share some culture with them.
Hmm.
And they know they can get that from Kwantlen.
Hmm.
And they know they can get that from me.
Mm.
And to understand that they probably feel the same way I do.
Mm.
But at such a young age, it's pretty wild.
Yeah,
So that's what I've learned.
that's sure. Well, thank you for not rushing and taking the time to be with us tonight.
Mhm.
I really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
And I think we want to say thank you to Ruben
Good job, Ruben.
as well. And thank you to everybody who's joined us and not rushed and sat. And we hope that this has been healing and hopeful for all of us.
Yeah, thanks for taking the time out of your day to stop by and listen.
Yeah.
It's appreciated.
Yeah. Okay. Stay safe. Stay calm.
Try to.
Yeah. We'll see you next time.